Okay, so here I wanted to talk a little bit about the period of the sine function here. And so what I have on this Desmos online calculator is right now I have just showing this red sine function. And what I did is I just restricted the domain, and the domain is just the x values, just to make it a little bit more clear. So we can see that it starts at 0 and then it ends at 2 pi. And then after 2 pi, it's just going to continue and do the same exact thing. And since it continues and does the same thing, we call that a period. And so the period of the sine function is just 2 pi because it kind of goes all the way up to its peak, all the way down to its low point, and then back to where it started at a height of 0, and then it repeats. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and bring in another graph with it. And this is the graph of the sine of 2x. So you can see these colors correspond. So here's the blue, and I put the sine of 2x. And we can compare that to our original sine of x in red. And okay, so what happens here if I put a 2 in front? That's going to affect the period. And let's go ahead and check it out here, maybe just with the blue. So from 0 to 2 pi, if there is a 2 in front, let me see if I can highlight this, like right there, that 2 in front means that essentially there is going to be 2 cycles. So it's going to go up, down, back to where it started, up, down, back to where it started again in the original amount of 2 pi. So if there is a 2 in front, then that means there's now 2 cycles in that original amount of time of that 2 pi, okay? And so if you think, well, what is the period now? Well, now the period, since it says 2 cycles in 2 pi, if I kind of change this here to stop at pi, then we can see that now our period is just pi. So when there's a 2 in front, then that means there's 2 cycles in the original 2 pi, or it means there's 1 cycle in just pi, in half the amount of time. So now my period is just pi. And we can kind of compare that here. The red, it took 2 pi to complete that cycle, so its period is 2 pi. But on the blue with the 2 in front, there would be 2 of them in that 2 pi, which means I only need pi, so the period is pi for it to complete a cycle. Okay, let's go ahead and maybe take our original and compare it with the sine of 0.5 pi. And so now if I look at this 0.5 pi, that 0.5 in front right there, what that means is that there is 0.5 of a cycle in that 2 pi. So we can see the screen goes up to its peak and then back down, but it doesn't get a chance to go down to its minimum and back up. So how long do you think it would take for this green graph to go all the way up, down, and then down to its minimum and back up? Well, it would take twice the amount of time. So it would actually take 4 pi. It would take 4 pi in order to get there. So this sine of 0.5 pi means there's half a cycle in 2 pi, which means to get a full cycle, I would need to go double that amount, and I would need to go 4 pi. Okay, hopefully this is helpful. I'll go ahead and bring them kind of all up together here so we can see a little bit about what's going on. And hopefully that's helpful to kind of see how this number in front of the x will affect your period. And in summary, maybe you might think if there's a 2 in front, then that means there's going to be 2 cycles in the amount of the original 2 pi. If there's a 0.5 in front, that means there's going to be half a cycle in that original amount of 2 pi. And so thinking of it that way, we can kind of figure out how long it will take in order for it to do a full cycle. And a full cycle is what the period is called. Okay, hopefully this is helpful and good luck.